Hey there, welcome back to Total Geek Live Baltimore Presents. I am Baltimore, and today I am bringing you Battle of the Atom. That is the 2013 crossover event, basically 10-part crossover between X-Men, all new X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, Wolverine and the X-Men. It was basically their huge kind of crossover event. There it is. Basically, just to get you caught up on this, we have the time-displaced X-Men, '05 X-Men. So that's Jean Grey, that's Iceman, that's Beast, that's Angel, and Cyclops. They have come from the past, from basically issue, I think, like 6 or 7 of the original run. Adult Beast brings them back to show adult Cyclops what a dick he is. Pardon my language. And basically kind of saying, like, if you don't clean yourself up, this is going to happen. So basically, once again, Beast is mucking around with things and messing things up, and so he intended to bring the '05 back to show them this, and then return them from whence they came. But that doesn't exactly happen, and they stay, and they've been staying. And I like the '05 as characters now. The time displaced ones, I'm not a fan of. They've certainly outlived their usefulness. They've certainly crowded the stage. You know, now you have 2 of almost each character, and it just doesn't. They're basically taking away time from other characters who need the spotlight and time and development, and that's kind of a real big frustration for me. But okay, so back to Battle of the Atom. Once again, this is one of those time-traveling epic events, and we are seeing at this time the future X-Men come back to force the original time-displaced X-Men back, saying that this is not good. If you don't go back, terrible things are going to happen. And basically, this group consists of Zorn, who is basically the adult version of Jean Grey from the '05. Time Displaced '05 grown up. You have a Beast character. You have Ice Thing, which is basically like a golem. It's not really Iceman. It's creation. Molly Hayes, who's the Runaway, grown up as an X-Men. You have Deadpool. You have a future Kitty who comes back with them. And then you have Xavier, Charles Xavier that's there. And you know what we do find out later on is this Xavier is the child of Charles Xavier and Mystique. And then the Kitty, future Kitty, is revealed to be a shapeshifter. Surprise, Raze, who is the child of Wolverine and Mystique. I'm like, at this point, how many kids does she have? And with how many different fathers? I mean, I'm not trying to judge, but seriously? And these, future X-Men characters, I wasn't impressed with this entire series to begin with. I thought it had some promise, if it resulted in the '05 actually going back. But since they didn't, I'm like, it's just kind of a placeholder thing, and it kind of frustrated me. But we do get some really neat twists and turns along the way, which kind of make it a little bit more exciting, because it turns out these future X-Men aren't future X-Men at all, but future Brotherhood characters. And they basically decide that they have to come back after the assassination of President Allison Blair. That's right, the Dazzler becomes President of the United States of America. However, she's promptly assassinated. But don't fear, because Dazzler never stays dead long. So that's what I'm holding off to. But that was actually pretty cool to see Dazzler become the president. So that was a reason to come back for the X-Men in the present. So basically, once they have this big fight at the beginning with the future X-Men / Brotherhood, with all the Uncanny X-Men and Wolverine and the X-Men and all those characters, there's a moment where young Cyclops is killed, and the adult Cyclops kind of blinks out of existence. So it kind of leads credence to whatever happens to the younger characters is going to happen to the older characters. So yeah, I gotta better watch out, and it's more reason to get them back home. But Cyclops is saved, and he's lives to fight another day. And when these time displaced, or these future X-Men come and arrive and fight and say you have to go back, the time displaced O5 Jean Grey and Cyclops decide they got to get out of here. Something's not quite right, so they escape. They move. They get out of the area to kind of try to figure out what's going on, and they kind of run into the other Zorn who tries to fight her, Jean Grey, the O5 Jean Grey, and it leads to a battle between Zorn, which is the grown-up version of Jean Grey from the time-displaced one. You have the time-displaced Jean Grey, you have Emma, and the Cuckoos. And all of them are fighting each other psychically to stop Zorn. A lot of mind wrapping around how many characters are the same character. So there's that. Then we discovered this classic X-Men trope: people coming back from the future say you gotta stop this or the future is damned. Magic isn't having any of it. She kind of smells something not quite right, so she takes the O5 Beast and the O5 Iceman to the future, following these future X-Men, and discovers that they are in fact the Brotherhood. And she meets up with the actual, real future X-Men, which include her brother, who is Colossus, who has possession of a demonic soul sword, which is kind of her thing. You have future Wolverine, which is Jubilee. You have the future Phoenix, which is Kid Omega. You have the Ice Wizard, which is the O5 Iceman. You have Wiccan, who is Sorcerer Supreme, which is kind of really cool. You have Chimera, who is the daughter of Storm. And you have Sentinel X, which is Shogo. And Shogo is Jubilee's adopted child, son. So it's kind of cool to see, that kind of future happen. And that's actually what kind of made me excited to see the real future X-Men. And that was really only the highlight for me of this entire series. So you have them coming back, fighting with the Brotherhood, fighting with the future X-Men, and the real Wolverine and the X-Men and Uncanny X-Men. So it's this whole big, convoluted, unnecessarily so, classic time traveling story. So there's a lot of sort of things that happen throughout this Battle of the Atom, and I give credit. They did really try to make things different. They did really try to incorporate the O5, the time displaced O5, and give them a reason to continue to stay, however flimsy that is. But it just got to a point where there were way too many. Like, come on, really? And now, and then they leave these characters kind of in the, waving in the breeze and don't really do anything with them. And that's the really frustrating part. Is at the end of it, Chimera, the daughter of Storm, stays with the X-Men instead of going Back to the Future. I'm like, well, that should have real lasting consequences. Except I think comes back in maybe 3 or 5 issues total, and it's really just a few panel time, and there's very little with actual Storm. Or with her alleged father, which is, you imagine would be Black Panther. Because she's a big Black Panther that she goes with. And it's just a lost opportunity. It's like, come on, why even bring her back if you're not going to do anything with her? And that's the frustrating thing. And it kind of leads to a couple of more little stories that happen. This is Brian Michael Bendis's kind of first real event with the X-Men. So there's that. He was writing All New X-Men at the time and Uncanny X-Men, so of course, he kind of had this was his big, crossover event premiere with the X-Men under that, umbrella. And, didn't really care for it. And I like a lot of stuff that he does. I just don't think he was successful with his X-Men. Not a fan of it, and I tried it all. I read it, and it really didn't work. So that was kind of frustrating to kind of keep hoping and hoping and hoping that the X-Books would, reemerge with some interest and some interesting things happening, but it just kind of didn't happen. The Battle of the Atom was kind of like this real letdown event. It was billed as like the 50th anniversary of the X-Men, and you're like, 50th anniversary? All right, count me in. And this is what we got. And it's still kind of at the same whole time that there was this let's downplay all the X-Men for characters that we actually have all the rights for. So it feels like a real big to the actual X fans. So that was a little bit of a frustrating pill to swallow for this. But it happened, and we still have to deal with Reyes and Charles Xavier II. Again, still, because they're still around, unfortunately. So let me know what you think about Battle of the Atom. Did it kind of have the consequent events that you kind of hoped for? Was it just kind of like, oh yeah, we've seen this all before and there's nothing really new? Or did you really love it? Like, convince me. Tell me I'm wrong. I'd love to hear that. So, Battle of the Atom, like, subscribe, and share. Comment below. Tell me what you think about it. And I will be back with more Marvel goodness for you. As always, it's all geek to us. See you soon.